Peace, family. A brother of mine sent me a clip, Eddie Griffith comedy skit, where he was talking about blacks and whites. He was saying that white people are the offspring of African people, and we cast them out because they look different. My brother asked me, he said, is it possible that white people can be the children of Africans? I said, well, my short answer would be this. In the realm of possibility, everything is possible. Now, if you care to stop watching this video right now, I wouldn't begrudge you for a moment, because now I'm about to go into my long answer, and it's a doozy. My long answer is this. Yes, it's possible there could be an offspring. But then if that's the case, then you have to explain why are whites so different than African people. Since we know Africans being black can produce every shade of the rainbow, all nations will have to come through black people if all life started in Africa. Why are white people so indifferent to the world as opposed to everybody else? I would think there would be some defect that made white people. Every nation that came from our people, from our loin, was able to go out into the world and evolve beyond their barbaric period and develop societies, languages, structures, cultures, institutions to promote their own way of life. And if Eddie Griffith was correct, and which is, I know he was just making a joke. I'm not taking anything this man say seriously. And we cast white people out. When they went to the Caucasus Mountains, they were the only people out of all the nations that come from Africa not able to form their own society, their own structure. Not leaving behind any architect, no hieroglyphics, no monuments, no institutions, nothing. They sat there and wallowed in their bitterness, their envy, their hatred of others. Or the conditions that was possible for life to spring out of Africa. The conditions could have been similar in another place, but slightly altered, that produced another form of life. White people, who was genetically different than anything, because now we know white cannot produce any color. This would mean that they only produce white people, and this would explain the diabolical difference between blacks and whites. That would explain it more clearly, as a matter of fact. But either way, they still ended up in the Caucasus Mountains. They was never able to evolve a civilized means to sustain their existence. Eddie Griffith said when they came back to Africa and found us there, and they did find us. And no, Eddie, they did not find us. If you were in Africa when you cast them out, and no matter how long they were gone and they came back to Africa, they did not find you in Africa. You had never left there. But this made me think. I just watched the clip the other day where this man came to his father's house, whom he haven't seen, or maybe have never seen in his entire life, but he knew this was his father because he was abandoned as an infant. And when he identified himself to the man as his son, the old man's eyes opened up, and he said, "Don't worry, I'm not here to ask you for anything. I just want to let you know that the son you gave up on, I made it through life, and I didn't need you for anything." He said, "Do you see that car over there? That car cost $435,000, and I bought it cash. I didn't need a dime from you." The next thing you know, they showed the father and son inside of his apartment. Well, the father's apartment. He was living rather poorly. The father went on to explain to him why he abandoned his son. And he said that, the son replied, do you think that's a reason? The father, well, I wasn't able to take care of you. I wasn't able to do the things for you that I felt was necessary. So I did the best thing and gave you to somebody who could. Son said, you think I'm supposed to forgive you for that? And forget everything that happened? As the son left the father, he stopped, turned around, paused, stuck his head back in the door and said, would you like to see your grandchildren? Smile came across the father's face, and he said, let me get my coat. When Africans cast out whites, you had two choices. You could go off and take accountability for your actions, for the role you played in the decisions these people made, and show some determination to prove them wrong. Because even though the African people may have given up on you, you never gave up on you. And you're going to one day come back and prove that they made a mistake. You're going to come back better than you were when you left. Eddie Griffith tried to make another joke about how white people came back and found us in Africa. And he was like, they did find us, didn't they? No, Eddie, they did not find us in Africa. If Africa's where we cast them out and they came back to Africa, we were still there. We never left. So you don't find nobody where they was already originally there. But what they did do, they came back. They did not repent. They did not reflect on their way of life. They did not improve their way of thinking. They came back more brutal than when they left, and they enslaved Africans. For 300 years, you brutally raped and sodomized men, women, and children. You lynched them. You terrorized them. You cannibalized your own people. And look at you. Today, you're still doing the same thing. Even though we're not in chattel slavery no longer, but we're as close to it as you could possibly get. Let me say this. I remember this episode of Good Times where JJ was shot by the gang leader, Mad Dog. And the mother was late trying to come to court to represent her son and keep him from getting in further trouble because she had 3 other children she had to get ready to send off to school. When she got there and seen Mad Dog, and she was just saying, out of all the children I've had, you have given me the worst problem of them all. And she said, I would have never thought that I could feel this way about a child of mine. But I wish you were never born. When she spouted off to him how she felt about him, Mad Dog looked at her and was saddened, crying. You see, after being such an irritant to people for so long, at some point in time, even your own mother will feel justified in getting rid of you. I believe white people did the same thing. And if we weren't justified in the beginning for casting them out of our society, when you look at the history associated with them since then, we would definitely be justified for doing it now. Ashe.